Hey everyone, welcome back to Weather on the Go, all your weather coverage on this Monday, September 30th, 2024. Today is the last day of September, and make sure to subscribe to the channel, folks. We have just hit 100,000 subscribers. Thank you all so much for your support and your generosity in helping me out and reaching my long-time milestone here on this channel. And continue to subscribe to the channel as we will give you guys short-range forecasts, long-range forecasts, and seasonal outlooks and much more on the channel. So make sure to subscribe, like the video by giving it a thumbs up down below, especially if you do enjoy today's weather forecast. Leave any comments, questions, and concerns below. We'll always get to those after my videos. So what you are currently looking at are the weather alerts across the United States here on this Monday, September 30th. And in the pinks, we have widespread areas in the Dakotas, Minnesota, down into Nebraska here, parts of Montana, down into Wyoming. Those are red flag warnings here. We also in the tan shaded colors across North Dakota and northwestern Minnesota have wind advisories in effect. So what we're currently looking at, why we have those red flag warnings and wind advisories and stuff like that, well, our relative humidity percentages are pretty low, into the teens and low 20s this afternoon. And when coupled with a breezy wind, dry soil here because we haven't had a lot of moisture, this is definitely going to create here a red flag fire situation across portions of the northern U.S. Here are the wind gusts expected over the next 12 to 24 hours, and you can see wind gusts could be peaking up near 60 miles per hour, especially into southern Canada there of southern Saskatchewan, southern Manitoba, but also parts of the Dakotas, stretching over into northwestern Minnesota. And when coupled with warmer temperatures, drier soil, that will lead to some critical and even elevated fire weather concerns across the north central U.S. And the most critical will be across South Dakota and into parts of central and western Nebraska as we go through today. So make sure no open burning, no leaf burning or anything like that across portions of the middle of the country because of that dry soil and those low relative humidity values. Going through today across North America, we have a cooler air mass starting to work in across western Canada from British Columbia into portions of Alberta, Saskatchewan, and also into the Pacific Northwest of the United States as well. Warmer air, though, stretching from southeastern Canada, from Ontario and Quebec, all the way down through the Midwest, into the central and southern plains, and especially down here into the Pacific Southwest, where temperatures are well above the norm for this time of year. Let's look at those temperatures this afternoon. Notice where the cooler air mass is. Temperatures will be in the 50s and 60s this afternoon for highs, higher elevations staying in the 40s, and then in the warm sector, we're going to see temperatures into the Midwest, into the 80s this afternoon, 90s across the central southern plains and near the Gulf Coast, and triple digits back here into places like Phoenix up to 102 and 100 near the San Diego area this afternoon. And looking at precipitation, we do have some wet weather expected across the southern Canadian provinces this afternoon. So if you're in eastern Saskatchewan, western Manitoba here, central Manitoba, you'll start to see some light to moderate rain showers moving through, a stronger 986 millibar low pressure up there. Some unsettled weather here across the eastern seaboard as well. So if you're in West Virginia, down here into Maryland, or even into North Carolina, unfortunately, we're going to be adding on to those totals with those rainfall totals, and the ongoing flooding here is not going to help across these regions. So hopefully we can get to drying out, and it looks like as we go into tonight, we'll begin to dry out across those areas. So that is certainly a silver lining worth looking forward to, and a strong high pressure system will be working in across the middle of the country for tonight. So clear skies can be expressed across the middle of the country for tonight. So looking at rainfall across North America through the next 12 hours or so, going through Tuesday, October 1st, you can see the heaviest of which will be across the western coastline of Canada into western portions of British Columbia and just south of the Gulf of Alaska there. We're going to be keeping a very close eye of that. And then some precipitation in Manitoba. Otherwise, the mid-Atlantic states will see portions of those areas. Some precipitation, central and western U.S. will largely remain dry, and that's because of that high pressure system. And some of that moisture could be spread out in the form of snowfall. Yes, that cooler air as we get colder tonight, higher elevations, especially of British Columbia, could be seeing snowfall upwards of 20 inches as we go through your Tuesday morning commute. So make sure if you're traveling out here in Western Canada that you do take it slow out on those roadways. Our first real snowfall of the season. Going through the rest of the week, we got low pressure storm track up here in central southern Canada. That's going to keep active weather further to the north. High pressure ridge across the desert southwest and the central U.S. is going to keep things a lot drier, but also a lot more sun-splashed skies throughout the week to get out and enjoy it. And unseasonably warm temperatures will continue, especially out west as we go through the week, and some of those above normal temperatures will spread further east into eastern Canada and the eastern U.S., whereas a cold pocket of air will continue to remain across western Canada into the Northwest Territories, into British Columbia, Alberta, and Saskatchewan through the remainder of this work week. Let's look at our temperatures going into the middle of the week. This is Wednesday, October 2nd, and seeing some nice fall-like air across southeastern Canada into the 50s and 60s, and 60s, 70s with some 80s sprinkled in across the central and eastern U.S., but it is, again, it's early October at this point, and even though it seems cool outside, it's actually still above normal in these areas for this time of year. Triple digits, especially way above normal over here in the Phoenix, 101 in the Phoenix area, San Diego, and just into the 90s in Los Angeles on Wednesday. That'll continue as we go into the end of the week on Friday, although a cooler air mass will try to move in to the northern tier of the United States, bringing the 50s and 60 degree line a little bit further to the south across the upper Midwest into interior New England and the Pacific Northwest by then. Looking at precipitation through the week, and we're seeing pretty dry conditions, especially across the United States. Looks like the more active storm track again will be across central and southern Canada, and down here near the Gulf Coast, Florida may be apt to seeing some moisture as well, with some tropical moisture. So going through the remainder of the week after today on Tuesday, as we open the book to October, looks like a double-barreled area of high pressure, one over here into California, one into the central U.S. will keep sun-splashed skies going through your Tuesday. Some unsettled weather across the east, but nothing overly too heavy there with precipitation. Going into Wednesday, again, double-barrel area of high pressure, sun-splashed skies, get out and enjoy it. That'll continue into Thursday and Friday as well. A more substantial storm system will arrive on Friday across the west coast of the United States and Canada. This could bring some heavier, higher elevation snows to the Vancouver region and some heavier rain to Seattle as we go into Friday, October the 4th. Here's the precipitation between Tuesday, this is tomorrow, October 1st, through Friday, October 4th. You can see largely the heaviest precipitation will be western British Columbia and then up here into southern Canada, and maybe some precipitation across the mid-Atlantic states and then down near Florida, and overly so, not really seeing any terribly high amounts of rainfall during this period. Snowfall will be plentiful though. If you live in British Columbia, we could be seeing snowfall on the order of 48 to 50 inches over the next week or so into the highest elevations of British Columbia, and then up here into northern Canada starting to add to our snowpack as well. So that is a sign of things to come as we get deeper into the fall. And unfortunately, with the dry weather continuing, the drought is going to expand and intensify across the U.S. There's a lot of drought across the United States. It's hard pressed to find a state without a drought. I think all 50 states at this point have at least some form of drought in their states. So we'll definitely keep an eye on that moving forward. Here's the tropical weather update. The tropics remain very active across the Atlantic basin. We have Isaac up here as a post-tropical cyclone that's heading toward Europe. Joyce has just formed as well as Kirk, and then we have another system behind Kirk as well with that tropical wave moving off of Africa and the main development region. A lot of these are going to be fish storms, but what we're keeping an eye on is the system here in the Western Caribbean has been downgraded from a 50% to a 40% chance of development, so that's some good news. It's lessening in probability, but we still have to watch it near the Yucatan and into the Central Gulf and the Bay of Campeche as we go in towards the next 5 to 7 days. Because the water temperatures in this environment are thermodynamically favorable for development, and this system definitely has the wheels to take that and potentially develop this into a tropical depression, tropical storm as we move forward. Here is verification from the ensemble members, and you can see the European ensemble guidance. A couple fish storms way out here, maybe getting close to Bermuda late in the period. We'll keep an eye on that. But looking here, some pretty small areas of low pressure developing near the Yucatan, the Bay of Campeche, or somewhere in the Gulf as we go through that Friday time frame. Same thing depicted here on the GFS ensemble guidance and the CMC, the Canadian ensemble, showing that as well. A couple fish storms out here may be threatening potentially Bermuda in the long range. And then looking at some weaker low pressure, tropical depression, tropical storm activity potentially in the Bay of Campeche, the Gulf, or Western Caribbean going through the rest of the week. Going through the middle of October, the tropics will remain active, at least giving us a run at maybe some more named storms closer to home. So we'll keep a very close eye on the Bay of Campeche, the Gulf of Mexico, the Caribbean, and even the Western Atlantic closer to the United States. Going through the October 15th time frame, we'll always keep you updated right here on this channel. Another reason to subscribe to the channel, again, short range forecasts, long range forecasts, seasonal outlooks, and much more. Make sure to subscribe to the channel down below for the latest weather information right at your fingertips. Give it a like, a thumbs up down below if you did enjoy today's weather forecast and enjoy my forecast in general. Leave any comments, questions, and concerns below. We'll always get to those after my videos, and I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of their Monday out there.